Welcome to Bring Out Your Badass Self, a movement to break your negative thoughts and habits and instead focus on building each other up and encouraging fearless authenticity.
Each week, we will get vulnerable and share experiences alongside our guests and audience. Come rediscover your inner badass self.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I am doing well, badass. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I am so glad it is a Friday and I'm going to give myself some self-love tomorrow. I have a massage planned.
Ooh.
So I try to do that like every 6 weeks because I just need to decompress.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, what about you? You have any special plans?
Well, Jenna has COVID.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But I am there's no special plans, but I'm really looking forward to some time with my new a new device that I need to set up and stuff. So I'm excited about that. Not that type of device. And I'm like, it's called a Remarkable. It's a tablet.
Oh, yeah. You know me. I go inappropriate immediately.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
I'm like, it is Valentine's Day. You're going to do some self-love in a different way?
Right. Yeah. No. That's so funny because I had talked with Jenna about making sure that I get some time to set this thing up because I'm so excited about it. And I got it earlier in the week and I've been just focusing on work, right? Work and kids, because when she's out of the picture, I'm doing both. So I told her, like, I'm going to, because all week I say to the older kids, hey, mom's sick, so I need you to help pick up a little bit more of the slack. And they're so good about it. And normally on a weekend, I would just it'd be relaxing for everyone. They wouldn't have to do much. I wouldn't have to do much. But I was telling Jenna that I'm going to ask the olders to help on the weekend too, so that I can get some time with this device. So it puts it all in funny perspective if we think about the inappropriate versus the actual.
Myra's laughing and James is like, hey, whoa, I love the intro. I haven't got here early enough to hear it before.
Oh, thank you. We love that intro too. I think our first comment might be Jenna. That sounds like her.
Yeah, it probably is, and she's not showing her face. So, but good morning, Jenna. You're just sitting there in bed and just watching your lover on TV.
Yes.
Good morning, my favorite beautiful badasses. And Myra also gave us an official hello as well. Hi, Friday. Good morning. Good morning, badass. And so if you are out there and joining us today, we're going to have some fun today. So those that aren't joining or those that have to get off early, sorry, you're going to really miss a great show.
Oh, it's Carmen.
Carmen. Oh, so real quick, one of the things I have noticed, so a couple of things on our Facebook page, I was getting a lot of porn that was being added to our page. So I had to change some of the requirements. And so now I have to authorize people that can actually add comments. So I noticed last episode, there were people that were giving messages and they weren't coming up. So like Myra and Carmen who come in through Facebook, they have now been added that they are approved people to add comments. But if for whatever reason we don't hit your comment, it might be because for whatever reason it hadn't come in and it was the first time me approving you. So just know that on Facebook. I'm having to luckily I'm deleting them. They're sending them daily and I'm sitting there and it's like this lady's butt in my face, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, every time trying to delete this crap off. Jenna messaged me. She was like, you're hacked. And I was like, what do you mean I'm hacked? But it was just someone that was posting a lot of very inappropriate stuff on our page. So I was able to delete and ban, but they just kept coming back. So now I had to change the settings to not make it so open.
Yes.
Just to be able to post whatever they want. So
that's what we get for having ass in our title, right?
I know, exactly. They're just saying, well, I get this is what you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then on LinkedIn, I have also noticed we've been sort of narrowing it down. We still have some people that are adding comments that we don't even see until the very end, and
Yeah.
people don't even see their comments. So
Yes.
it's like I'm gonna probably pull up LinkedIn a little bit just to see if there are some comments out there that I'm not quite seeing. But I know Lance, for whatever reason, his are not coming through. And I know he was going to try to join us today. He also did send me his love languages
Ooh.
and what his tertiary and or secondary love languages are, as well as how he compliments his wife. So we'll talk about that a little bit later too.
Awesome. Yeah, I noticed. So I don't think it's a stream. Maybe it's a StreamYard issue, but I noticed that during. Oh, shit.
I did get James. I did get James to say it once on. So I was actually on James' show, by the way, on the Uncommon Communicator. So if you haven't checked that out, we did the power of no, and we actually had to do it twice. The first time he was having a lot of internet connections, but it really ended up being super. I thought it was a great interview. If I could brag on myself, maybe just a little bit. He was a great person just to lead the conversation, but we had such a more just a better conversation the second time. As you can imagine, communication, that's what he's talking about. And because of the internet issues, I was like, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Yes.
What you're saying. And I'm like, we gotta like redo this. So
cut and run.
But I did get him to say it once, and apparently that's not something that he normally does. So
so he doesn't like to cuss.
He doesn't. Yeah, exactly. And so
he might not want to interview
he
me.
said he was even going to potentially bleep that one out. So James, just so you know, we don't hold back here. And so like we go full out. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. I did also know, oh, good. Tanya says now she can hear us. So I actually, a new person that has joined, and I'm glad she actually also added a heart. So I actually had connected to her. She was on, I think it was Brenda Lee's, who's going to be on in 2 weeks. She was on her audio event, and then I also came up to stage, and I just really loved the things that she said. And we were talking about I'm trying to remember what we were even talking about, but it was just she really had a lot of great insights, and her and I ended up connecting. So I'm glad to see you're here today as well. So
welcome, Tanya.
Yeah. And then James said round 2 interview was filled with nuggets from me. So thank you for that. I really enjoyed it a lot. And I got to tell you, even this morning I had to like talk to a client and, just about internally our team saying no. Like we have to be able to say, you know what, here's where we're at. This is the challenges we're dealing with. We understand if this isn't going to meet your expectations, but we have to be willing to say no, because, or really what we talked about is not saying no, but saying yes, and getting to the fact that we just need to say what it is we can do, and then, commit to that. So, but I know that's not the topic today, but go check out that interview.
Yes.
It's something that Kate knows that I'm very passionate about within our company.
Yes. Yep. Sarah is a kick-ass boundary setter, and she's so great at advocating for all of the people that work at Full Sail and making sure that we know that we can say no if we need to. And usually it does look like it's usually a yes, but not right now.
Or here's when I can, that type of thing. Yeah. So Tanya also said, good to see you. I love the concept of your show. So Thank you so much. And so, as you can see, we are having a Valentine's Day special, right?
Yes. Yes, a little early, like, the way Valentine's is this year, you say, you'll see a lot of events this weekend and next weekend and then out through the week. So it's kind of like we get 10 days of love this year.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that. By the
Yeah.
way, I can see Lance. Just so
Yay!
you know.
Woohoo!
Oh, but today, are we going to be saying yes? We're going to be saying yes to Valentine's, right?
Yes, yes to our loves.
Oh, I love it. So keep them coming. Today we want it to be interactive. We're enjoying the back and forth already. So keep those coming. And so let's maybe go ahead and start things off. What do you think?
Yeah, well, let's dig in. It's going to be so fun. So we
It,
got to get started.
it is. So what are the love languages? So any thoughts before we get started on a little bit more of the details of what the languages of love are?
Yeah, this was kind of a fun concept to me. And this was kind of like something that started trending maybe a couple years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this concept of love languages. And I'll just tell you a quick personal story. Jenna and I and the kids, they had a really easy time figuring out or saying this must be my love language. They didn't take a
Mm-hmm.
quiz or anything, but they were just like, self-reflecting and I'm an acts of service person or I like gifts, And then everyone would look at me and they would be like, well, what's Mama Kate's love language? And 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 everyone's response would be like, she's just obsessed with Mama Jenna. That's all that matters. And so they would say, Mama Kate's love language is Mama Jenna.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. Yes. And then when you see what my love languages are, I think you'll see, I really do just want time with her.
Absolutely. And so when we start to look at the languages of love, this is about discovering your own primary love language as well as your tertiary. And so Lance, this morning, he was like, tertiary. I was like, secondary, like your secondary language. And so it's to help you better understand yourself and also to teach others how to love you best. And so
Right.
that's really the overall concept. But then it goes both ways. So once you discover your love language, you are going to then share it with your partner and also get their results to better understand them and understand what speaks to them. And so it's just about consistently speaking each other's love language. So that's really
Yeah.
sort of to start things out. That's where we want you to understand what this concept is if you haven't heard it.
And there's 5 love languages that are kind of like the mainstream or the main categories. But interestingly enough, more recently, there's been, because this has been kind of a fad, so there's more focus on it. They've come out with neurodivergent love languages. And so I'd love to just talk about those a little bit after we get through, the normal ones, because they're really interesting. They're a spin on these love languages, but from a neurodivergent standpoint. So for those of us that, that have a different neurological makeup.
Yeah. All right. So the 5 different languages of love or love languages. So acts of service. So what speaks to them is that show me action. So sort of just do it, or those that come from the state of Missouri, the show me state, just show me, don't tell me. So for these type of people, the best way to demonstrate to them love is by doing something for them. And that can be like taking things off of their plate. And I can tell you that's something my husband is super amazing at, is taking things off of my plate. So he, does things like dinner or, will all of a sudden make me lunch because he knows that I sometimes don't get away from my desk as I'm working. So acts of service are basically actions speak louder than words.
Mm-hmm. Yep. This is like, taking out the trash when it's not your turn. It might be your partner's turn, or um, like, like Jenna's in the bedroom all week, but it's driving her nuts that nobody has vacuumed in 3 days. She's a big vacuumer. So she literally asked Lucas, like, could you vacuum for me? And I'm thinking, like, you're not even out here to see if the carpets don't have dog hair on them, but all right, we'll make sure somebody vacuums.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. It's all
Mhm.
those little things for the most part. So as you start to think about these, make sure that it doesn't have to be a big grand gesture with any of these. It's
Right.
most of the time just the little stuff that annoys us each day.
Right. Right. Yeah. Or like, I'm an early bird, so I like to bring Jenna a cup of coffee, and it's one
Mm,
of the things she just loves. And if for some reason it doesn't happen, she thinks I'm she thinks I'm mad at her or grumpy. I'm
oh,
like, no,
wow.
my meetings didn't allow for it this morning, you know?
Oh gosh. Well, the second one is receiving gifts, and
Yeah.
pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah,
However,
exactly.
a lot of times people think of it as a little, like, "Oh my gosh, really? Is anybody receiving gifts?" And I can tell you, my daughter is receiving gifts. That is her highest one. But it doesn't have to be anything big. It's just like little small things. It's more about the thought of, I was thinking about you, and by the way, as I looked at this, it's a heartfelt gift. It's something that is showing that you understand them, that you know them, and just showing them that you appreciate them even with the smallest thing.
Right. Yeah. This is, some people might think this is like materialistic,
Exactly.
but it really isn't. It's about someone feeling like they were thought of, right? Like,
Mhm.
oh, you saw this and you thought of me, and so you got it. Or you made this for me, right? Like,
Yeah.
Jenna loves gifts, but she tells the kids, like, I really much, I really would rather have you make the gift, like,
Mhm.
make me a card. I feel so cool about it, like that's awesome. So
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just more about the thought that went into the gift than it probably is sometimes the gift.
yes.
And then quality time, I tend to find that a lot of times people have quality time way up in the
Yep.
list. And it is really more about having your undivided attention. Sometimes it could just be sitting next to each other and saying nothing. Or sometimes it might be a little bit more like having a good conversation with that person, or just simply having some coffee with them, but it's just having that time back and forth with each other.
Yep. Yep. This is huge. Just being with your partner,
Mhm.
just being with them.
Exactly. Then you have affirmations, and affirmations are okay. Well, maybe actions don't speak louder than words. Sometimes words are needed. Sometimes people just want to hear, I really appreciate what it is that you have done. Like they recognize maybe the efforts that you have put in, or how hard it is that you work, or it's more about affirming people on the things that they might find of value, or the things that are important to them.
Yep. Yep. And I think this one is pretty common. I think across people that may have had rougher childhoods, or
Mm,
because um, they did that affected their self worth, right?
mm,
So as you know, having the people that you love the most give you words of affirmation feels so wonderful to reinforce that self-worth, because it doesn't come naturally to some of these people. Like they their brain was literally conditioned,
mhm.
and traumatized. So I see that a lot. I think it's a stronger thing in women than men
Mm.
sometimes too.
I think it's also about being seen. Like a lot of times we are I find, and I'm going to put myself in this category, this is my highest, is affirmations. And the reason that affirmations is so high to me is that I don't tend to hear from people. Like people just sort of expect me to be badass, to be strong, to get shit done, that type of thing. And so for me, it's about being seen and knowing that other people sort of appreciate the effort and the things that I'm doing. So it's important for me to be able to hear that.
Yeah.
I've found, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, how some of these things can also impact you when you don't get it from
Mhm.
others, and how you end up sort of adjusting
Yeah.
along the
Right.
way. So
Right. Yeah. It's really easy for others. Like if you think about you, when you think about people around you and you see someone that doesn't have a lot of confidence
mm,
or feels like, they feel a little lost, it's easy for people to be like, okay, let's lift them up. Let's give them words of affirmation to help them feel stronger.
mhm.
The confident people like you, people look at it and they're like, she's fucking got it all. Like, we don't, like, she knows how to do this. She's doing this for herself, I'm sure, because she does it for all of us. So we don't have to do it, like, and so I think it's a great point you brought up. And it's something that we should kind of be aware of, because a lot of times the strongest or the most vibrant people are also, the most sensitive inside,
Yep.
and also, still need that support and love from those around them.
And interestingly enough, I do find that I tend to give, my love, and we'll talk about this, to people around me in affirmations, like
Mhm.
helping to build them up, saying good things about them. And that's actually sort of an indicator as we start to take a look at that. You can almost guess as you start to look at each of these, think about the people that you surround yourself. So beyond your partner, but people you're friends with. What is it that
Mhm.
they do? So, for example, I have someone that I'm thinking about that we work with, that she likes to give gifts. And so
Mhm.
I have a feeling she probably also likes to receive them. And I'd be curious what hers are. And
Yeah.
so when you start thinking about the people around you, the things they tend to do for you, that might actually be also their strongest love language and how it is they need love.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And so the last one, touch. And so it is, appropriate physical touch. So to get back to no means no with Mr. James, but touch is so important to a lot of people. And it's not always about, the sexual act of touch. It's really more just the affection of
Mhm.
feeling appreciated. And this is one of your highest, right?
Yes. Yeah, this is my highest.
Yeah.
Yep. And yeah, it's across the board. I noticed this with my kiddos too, like um they can say, "You're a great mom," or "Thanks so much, mom." And it's not that I don't care about those or think those are nice, but like if they come and hug me, I'm like, "Oh, like that really makes me feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's do this. What I want to do is I want to bring up a couple of comments that have come in. And
Yeah.
so Bruce has joined us. Hello, Bruce. Hey,
Morning, Bruce.
badasses. And Lori said, yes, the strong ones are also deeply feeling and aren't always recognized as such. So, yes,
Yes,
thank you,
exactly.
Lori. And let's see, Lance said, truth, just being present. And
Yeah.
so Lance actually shared with me this morning that he said, eerily, him and his wife are exactly the same. Like their love languages are not only the main one, but the secondary. And he said only the last two were
Our
flipped,
sweet.
and his was quality time. So that was the one that spoke to him. So with that, while we're doing this, so I know some of you have been sharing, but go ahead and please, we would like to know what language speaks to you. So if you've taken the test, let us know what yours is. And
Yeah.
so I'd like to bring up some. So James had said, let me go back and find his. He
His is
said, yep,
service.
service. So same as my husband. He said he's not very good at the gifting aspect. So his lower one must be gifts. So
Yeah.
So acts of service, so helping James out. So even in like a business sense, so knowing these types of things can be super helpful. Like, oh, James would love it if we, maybe did something or helped
Right.
him out, in what it is that he's doing. Whereas, if I go back to Lance, where is his? He said just being present. So
Mhm.
for me, it is maybe finding some time with Lance to be able to have a little bit more of a one-on-one type of
Right.
conversation with him.
Yeah, right. I
So I'm
love it.
curious, yeah, what other people have. So let us know what language speaks to you. And so, Kate, do we want to jump in while we're waiting for some more to come in? Jump into
Yeah.
the fun part.
Yeah, there's this delay, between when we get your comments and when you submit them. So
Yep.
perfect time for us to look at ours, and then we would love to kind of talk about yours as well.
Yeah. So, man, look at that physical touch. Poor Kate. Like, go, just give her a hug.
Yes.
But
Yes.
specifically, Jenna. She wants the hug from Jenna.
Yes. 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 I'm not big on stranger touch.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not,
Oh,
like,
no, not stranger, but like a friend hug. Are you
yeah,
into that?
I'm big on friends hugs. I do like friends hugs. Especially if they're just offered up. I do sometimes, like, I'm a big hugger if it's like, oh, do you want a hug? Do you want a hug? But sometimes if I just get the sense that somebody is not a
Mhm.
hugger, then I won't offer. But I do love it if they offer me, and then I'm like, yay.
And then I noticed, secondly, yours is quality time. So having just some time, I know for you and me, we really enjoy that, just having some time to chat. And so now we just made
Yeah.
it into a podcast, so we
Right.
have dedicated time with each other.
Right. Because in the past, if a week went by and we didn't have time, I would literally feel like I'm missing your entire life. And
Aw.
I would be like, I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. I haven't talked to her. Like, it's been 6 days. How am I supposed
Exactly.
to know?
Yeah. And then I'm gonna go to your lowest. So receiving gifts, yeah, not so much.
No, no. Right. And this is one of Jenna's higher ones. I mean, it's like it's her third, but her second and third are tied, like,
Exactly.
percentage wise. So I had to get good at this because it just doesn't occur to me. It's like,
Yeah.
just I'm not like a collector of things. I'm just not a very physical thing person.
Aw. Yeah.
Clothes don't matter to me. Things don't matter to me. I just want time with people.
Exactly, exactly. So that tells me a lot, because I had sent something to Jenna for her birthday, and she was just like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." Like, she was like, and I really had thought about it, and what it is that I thought that she might want in in what it is she's wanting to do. So I really spent some time like thinking about what it is that I would give her, but now it really even speaks to me even more why it is that she was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." And so,
Yes. Yes, she loves it.
yeah.
She
All right.
loves to be thought of in that way.
Let's go to Jenna. So her highest. So your partner is words of affirmation. So how are you at giving her that affirmation that she needs to hear?
I think I'm pretty good um, at giving her words of affirmation, but she's also really good at asking me if I'm not saying it,
Oh.
because I am such a quality time person. And I struggle with, like, focus. So I have to be like, if I'm in my work lane, I have to be in my work lane. So she just asks, like, did you like this? Or or, I'm feeling anxious about this. And she'll ask, and then, I'm able to respond,
Mhm.
and give her what she wants. But I always do try to be as, better with my words of affirmation for her. I will say I was pretty proud of the fact that when we did this test, I was able to guess the exact order of Jenna's. except for the last two I had switched, and she kind of agreed, like it kind of felt like a horse apiece a little bit, but yeah, I was able to guess the exact order of her love languages.
But it's interesting though, if you go to physical touch, so that is her last one.
Her last one.
And it is the one you need the most. So how do you handle that? Like, she doesn't need the physical touch, but you do.
So here's what's funny is she loves physical touch, but she doesn't, I think so when we first got together, she was like, I don't know why you're touching me so much. Like, and then we figured out kind of like silently, but we figured out a way. So like the one way that we do this the most is if we are just chilling, if she's reading or we're watching something. Sometimes even if I'm like, listening to something and she's, reading, I just rub her back. So she'll like lay on my lap and I rub her back. And we do that probably 3 to 4 times a week at night, and she loves it. She loves massages. She loves those things. The funny thing is I don't like massages. So isn't that weird? So like, it's a funny, thing, but I think we've figured out how to work it in.
Yeah. So it's more about the holding hands or just, like having that physical touch with them versus the, most of the time people think, I think a lot of times people think physical touch means sexual. That's not necessarily true. It's more just the being next to each other and embracing each other or just feeling really close to each other. I don't know. I almost think of it as a mom and their baby, like the physical touch of a baby being on her chest and the type of, because keep in mind, this is about connection. This is about what allows you to be able to gain a bigger connection with someone.
Right. Yes. Yes. And a love, like, and what makes you feel safe in that love, right?
Yeah.
Like, and confident in the love that you have.
Yeah, exactly. And so let's continue on over. So quality time is high for you, and it's, medium, for her, it's tied with the receiving. And we talked about her for words of affirmation, and then acts of service. Both of you are sort of like, not as important.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to stop at acts of service. So you can see my husband, acts of service, he's like, yes, please, just, like.
Yeah.
Do
is it 33% or is it,
it's 33%. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Same as my physical touch. It's like super high. Yeah.
And so like it means the world to him if you just do the dishes or, take out the trash or, all of those acts, because I do have to say for my husband, he is the person that does the majority of the stuff within our household. So, cooking him a meal or things like that. And I suck at almost all of those things. And so like it's lower down on, as I have, it ended up being, I think it's tied. For me, it was tied with quality time as my secondary. But I can tell you when we first got together, acts of service was down lower. And so we're going to talk about how it becomes fluid. But acts of service to him is super important. So I try to be mindful of what it is that I can do. And it's also, but it's like you're trying to also let him know, hey, I was thinking of you. I took care of this or I did that. But I also find that it's also sometimes the other things that I am good at that I can take off of his plate. Like I'm a good researcher. I'm a good finding the places we're going to go on vacation or things like that, things where he just goes and enjoys and he doesn't have to worry about any of the planning aspects.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's probably a part of why he does all the cooking and all this stuff. That's him showing you guys that he loves you, right? I'm taking care of all of these household things because that, that's what love is to Jay,
Mhm. Yep.
you know? Mhm.
But for me, we talked about a minute ago, it's words of affirmations. And so I talked a little bit already about that. But for me, I'm also lower on gifts. So Jenna, she's sort of by herself on the receiving gifts. So for me,
Mhm.
I I feel like physical touch used to be higher for both of us, but I feel like maybe as time has gone on, that has changed as well. So, but my primary has always been words of affirmations, and acts of service has always been his primary. And so, let's talk a little bit about the challenges that come from that. So, when people are so different, like you
Mhm.
and Jenna, when they're the same, that's I would be interested. So, Lance, you are the same from a love language perspective, so I would be interested to understand how that helps in the communication and the connection that you feel with your partner. And for those that also gave us feedback, what do you know what your partner is, or if you had to guess, if they haven't taken it, what is it that you have done to sort of give them the things that of how their love language speaks. And so, let
Mhm.
me go to Bruce here for a second. He said acts of service and quality time seem to be the tops for me. Touch was third.
Hmm.
So I'd be curious what Julie is. And so if you had to guess, Bruce, what is hers? And do you think that complements each other? And
Right.
so let's talk about when you aren't on the same page, or you aren't getting the love language that speaks to you.
Yeah. So I think, you have to communicate about that. And, it's just like figuring out who you are and how to get those needs met, right?
Mhm.
So, and we have to do this across all things in life, right? We have to figure out, you know, who we are and what that means to whatever interaction we're in, right? So,
Mhm.
at least for Jen and I, where we've had such kind of opposite, um, it's worked for us because we it's really important to both of us to meet each other's love language,
Mhm.
and to feel loved and safe in the relationship. So we just, we've always just communicated about it and worked on it, So,
Mhm.
um, like I had to get good at giving gifts, I had to get good at surprising her. So like
Mm.
I was a person that like I'm not a big surprise person. I like to just know instantly. I'm an instant gratification person. So if I bought her something in the early days of our relationship, I would just tell her right away. I'd be like, "Oh, I bought you the coolest necklace. I can't wait to show it to you." And she would be like, "Oh, thank you." But like there was a letdown for her. She was just like, "I would like to, just get
Just
the necklace."
surprise me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. And then sometimes there were such big things that I would do that I would like hint at. She'd be like, "Okay, you're still not surprising me." And so now I'm
Mm.
the opposite extreme. Like I've bought gifts for her that I've hidden in the office or other places. And sometimes I've even forgotten about them, or I will find them later and be like, oh, okay, I can give this to her. So now, like it's a total different thing. I've
Aw.
learned to adapt, right?
Yeah. And it is interesting. So I am words of affirmation, but Jay would try to do
Mhm.
words of affirmations, but he's a not a man of a lot of words. And so that's
Man
super
of
hard for someone, yeah, that is just like, hey, it's almost like caveman. I'm gonna be serious. Sometimes I'm just like, ooh, oh, me hungry, type thing.
action.
He's like,
Feed me.
yeah, beer, food, sex, like It's just so simple. And I'm like, hello, come on. And so get out of your shell. And so affirmations was not something he was the best at. And I was like, so I tried to do what Jenna did. I was like, so I really would love to hear XYZ. He still would just struggle. I finally got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna give him to myself. Like, he still tries, and it's still something he knows that is important to me, and he does believe me. I'm exaggerating a lot, regarding him, but it is sort of funny. And so he really does try, but he'll send me like little messages like I love you, or things like
Mhm.
that, or he does, he calls me beautiful all the time. And but his is more like it's the physical, like he looks at me and
Mhm.
goes, "Arr," like, he's a
It's not,
practitioner.
it's the sound of affirmation.
Exactly. It's the caveman sounds of affirmation. He's like,
Right,
"Oh, yeah."
right, right,
But it's
right,
also like, hey, what about my mind? Or what about the other stuff about my life?
right. Yeah, right,
Oh my
exactly.
gosh. The main reason I'm pointing this out is that sometimes we end up having to like find other ways to be able to fuel those things. And so that's what I ended up doing. And that's why I think a lot of times that's why acts of service ended up going up, because that's how he expresses love. Like the thing that he is super amazing at is he knows that I'm overloaded. He takes something off my plate. He will
Right,
bring me food. He is like an acts of service person. He's constantly trying to help me out and taking things off of me. So
yeah,
I almost got to a point where I was like, this actually helps me a lot more than hearing it. Even though I'm still affirmations, this actually helps me in my life a lot more. So it
right.
actually became my secondary. And I'm pretty sure touch used to be my secondary.
Yeah, interesting. So you guys have kind of morphed to into like what the other needs, and you've kind of adapted like, okay, I'm gonna like this because this is how he's given it to me. You know?
Exactly. And I think
Mhm.
the point that Tanya just made, she said, I do think it's important if we know they are trying, the effort means a lot. And yes,
Yes.
I agree with you. Like he tries.
Mhm.
And so it's cute.
Yeah, yeah, right. I think that's what Jenna would feel, about me in terms, like that she sees I'm trying, and then,
Mhm.
and it's I'm a person that likes some direction, because I
Mhm.
really do like to. I'm a very empathetic person, and I like to kind of, tailor to what the person I'm with is needing, whether that's in a conversation in work or in a conversation, or in a love, situation. Either way, I want to give the person what they want or need. I'm good at listening and trying to be, whatever is needed in the situation.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's a great point. And so just the listening aspect. So the empathy aspect is really what increases, it's about intimacy with your partner. So it's about increasing that intimacy through listening, through empathy and understanding what's important to them. And I would also say that curiosity of just, let me understand you more. And it's all about enhancing your connections with each other.
yeah,
Uh, and so and also just the gratitude, really reinforces the effort that we're trying. So,
right.
so thank you for that. I really appreciate it when you tell me XYZ, or when you do XYZ, or when you spend time with me. So it's also important that we tell them thank you, because that helps reinforce what it is we're looking for too.
Yes, giving them
Yeah.
the feedback of, yeah, this worked.
Yep. And I know
Uh,
Bruce said he has to go, but I did want to, so be sure to come back if you haven't left already, and check back. I have some fun videos to share
yeah.
as well.
I think that this would be a good time, I think, to talk before we get into the videos
Yeah.
to share the neurodivergent ones because they're
Yeah.
so interesting. So, um, they're like a take on the 5, that we just talked with. So
Mhm.
one of them is info dumping. So sharing one's passion or interest in depth with someone, and
Mm.
so I think of this with people that are on the autism spectrum, right? And they love to info dump, if they're a hyper focuser or they're really, into one hobby, like Lucas loves to talk about Legos and Star Wars and Marvel, and like
Right.
if you sit down and have that conversation with him, he feels so loved when he walks away,
Mm.
you know. Um, the next one is parallel play, being in the same space with someone, but doing individual activities without much interaction, but you're together.
Mm.
So I actually love this one. Jenna thought like that some of the neurodivergent ones might really fit well with me. And I love to be in a room with her and, she's reading and I'm writing, but
Mm.
we're not like, but I like it more if we're in the same room than me writing somewhere else, like I love to be near her while I'm doing something.
It's like two people coloring their own things
Yes.
together.
Yes, exactly. Offering support, so helping someone with their challenges or needs, very similar of acts of service, but it's
Yeah.
more like, acts
Mm.
of support.
Yeah.
This one's interesting, unmasking. So being oneself without hiding or conforming to social expectations.
Mm.
So I think this is very present in some neurodivergent people, like where because they feel like they have to kind of mask, like if they have twitches or something, sometimes they try to mask those when they're in public
Right.
versus, just being able to be yourself.
Just be themselves. Right.
Yeah. And then the last one is offering small gifts, very similar to, receiving gifts, like giving someone something that reminds one of them or that they might like.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And so
Yeah.
I love it's just a nice twist to understanding in a different way someone that is dealing with neurodivergent you know things in their life
Yeah.
or they the things that can also continue to show them love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved it. I love the kind of twist on it. So
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And
yeah.
so I'd be curious if that resonated with anybody else.
Mhm.
That maybe you have ADD or any of those types of things and that resonates with you, or maybe you have a child. Maybe that'll help you also to maybe identify which one of those might end up resonating with them.
Yeah. Yeah. The info dumping one I think is so common, especially in the world of autism.
Hmm.
Oscar's the same way. If our eldest, if I give Oscar time to talk about whatever he happens to be hyper focusing on at the moment, his fitness or his swords or something,
Yeah. Yeah.
he walks away feeling like that person sees me, that person cares.
Oh, yeah. I can
But
imagine
if
that.
I
Like,
said you're awesome, you're so smart, like he's like, yeah, thanks. But it doesn't like, doesn't
you're
do much for him.
interested in his interest, and you're willing to deep dive with him on what that is.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love that.
Mhm.
I very much sort of resonated with that whenever you said it,
Mhm.
because I like to go deep in different
Right,
topics. So,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's have a little fun. My
Yes.
daughter and I did some fun videos. And so it's just to sort of help illustrate love languages. And we did it in a just sort of a fun way where we were doing it where you're not speaking in the person's love language and then when you are. So just have fun with these and then we'll talk about them. So let's take a look at the first one. So let me make sure it is ready to play. Here we go.
Hey Mom, can I have a friend over today?
Oh, honey, I don't feel like it. I just want to chill today.
Okay. Hold up. Let's rewind that. Let's use my mom's love language to our advantage. Hey, Mom. You know my friend Emily?
Yeah.
Well, she said you are the best mom and she wished her mom was like you. And I agree. You are the best mom.
Oh, thank you.
Do you mind if Emily comes over today?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thanks.
So before I go to the other one, I just wanted to get your reaction.
It's so hilarious because, okay, as a person that is very inclined to persuade people, like I love persuasion, right? And it can brink on manipulative in some, like people could say that.
I know.
I don't have a bad intention behind it usually. I don't feel, but I love that. There's a total way you can present something and that it will be more persuasive to them because you're speaking their language. So
exactly.
yeah.
And so, so after I did this, I was like, oh, is this manipulative? And I was like, well, I don't know. I'm like, maybe it could be. And I said, but it's about understanding the person and what's important to them. So, she's giving me the love that I was wanting, the affirmations and telling me I'm a great mom. Like, who doesn't want to hear that? And then she's like, and by the way, like, can Emily come over? Like, now you've just told me something amazing. Emily thinks I'm amazing. So now I can't say no.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Right. And it, and knowing how somebody feels about you, helps you. It changes the way you feel about them. It helps you understand.
Yep, exactly.
How you're being viewed.
Yeah. So I have one more, and this is flipped.
Okay.
So let's, before we do that, hang on one second. Tanya said, that's my son. He loves when you are interested in his Marvel movies or his music. And she added, my son and I go for drives and listen to his music. So
music that is something that as parents, Jen and I do. And we didn't kind of think about the fact that not a lot of other families do this, but as we, we all share music because we love music. So when we go on road trips, which we do a lot of, we take turns DJing. So everybody's music gets listened to and we all end up loving each other's music. So, we listen to all sorts of things, but as a family, we can put on everything from Luke Combs to Tupac, and we all know it and love it and sing along. And, Xavier really likes Tupac more than Luke Combs, but, he can appreciate it. And, we all love each other's music. So I think that's really cool that you do that with your son, Tanya. Yeah. So in contrast, my Lucas's girlfriend's family, when she comes over or when she's in the car with us, we want to be, listening to music, and she will be like, oh my God, I hate country. And then, or she'll be like, oh my God, this sounds like my mom's music. Oh, I hate my mom's music, and it's, so it's a very distinct thing where each of the kids and the parents have their own stuff entirely,
Yeah. Instead of just learning to appreciate the different styles and not criticizing them about it.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, let's jump into the other one. Give me just a second. And here we go. Hey, before you get into the fridge, how about we go out to dinner?
I'd rather just eat something here.
Okay. Let's try that again. And I'll use her love languages to my advantage. Hey, before you eat dinner, how about we go out instead? By the way, I got these at the store for you. I thought you might like them.
Smells so good. Thank you, Mom.
You're welcome. So how about it? Go out to dinner?
Yeah.
I love it.
And so my daughter is gifts. And so like I will get her little stuff and she's like, "Oh," dad's like, "Stop ordering Amazon." Oh gosh.
Well, dad doesn't get it.
He's like, "Come on, just, like go clean your room. That'll help
Right.
me, feel better."
Right. Take out the recycling.
And
Do
so it
something.
is funny. I have helped to guide her. I'm like, "Look, if you want dad to say yes to this, what can you do?" Like, like he go take out the trash or go, "Hey dad, I'm gonna, I'm taking care of these dishes, XYZ." But like that's what speaks to him. And
Right.
so it's showing him that you appreciate him, that you love him, and then hey, by the way, I'm
Right.
also going to do this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Those were adorable videos. I love it. And I can picture Riley wanting to stay home rather than going out, right? Like that,
Yep.
I bet that's a common thing for you guys because she loves
Yep.
her like foods that she loves and going out, she probably it's like, I don't know what I'm gonna get if we go out.
Exactly. Yeah, she went out with us last night and then she did these videos and I ended up getting them done last night. And so I was like, she had already taken off her makeup and stuff like that. And I don't wear makeup, but she was like, "Oh, I've already like," and I'm like, "Okay." And she's like, "No, I'll do it." And so, uh,
Aw,
and I just so happened to have gotten her something too that day. So
it works out.
it worked out.
Oh, I love it.
Uh, well, so thank you guys so much for joining us today and having a little bit of fun about talking about the languages of love. And so let's maybe talk a little bit about what we're doing next week and then the following week.
Yeah.
Um, and so February 16th, what are we doing?
We are doing another show, just us. So we've gotten some feedback that people are really enjoying our interviews, but they also want more just Sarah Kate action, which is great because we enjoy both. We love being able to do this. The time flies by. So we're doing a show on clarity before or after action.
Yeah. And so this was something that came to me that a lot of times people feel that they need to get clarity before they take action, where others feel that they actually take action before they get clarity. So we're going to
But
be
the
talking.
action like gives them the clarity, right?
Exactly. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that and what understand a little bit more about what you guys think as well. And then
Mhm.
on the 23rd of February, we have Coach Brenda Lee's Acosta joining us. And so be sure to come back and check that one out. And we are actually, Kate, I don't know if you know this, but we actually are booked up through March.
Yeah.
So we have something planned already all the way through March. And so I'm excited that we're ahead of schedule.
Yes. We have some great topics coming up and
Yeah.
great interviews that are going to be, I think, inspiring and amazing, invites all of the badassery that we can into our Friday mornings.
Yeah, we have some amazing people coming up. So it's been a great Friday to spend it with you, Kate, and to spend it with our audience. And again, thank you so much for joining us. And do you want to end us and send us off into the weekend?
Yes, I would love to. I would love to tell you, Sarah, how much I appreciate you and how
Aw.
much I love that we do this together, that we get this time with each other every week. It fills my cup to be able to not only inspire our little tribe of and our movement of badassery, but also to be able to just spend this time with you. It really does make I leave these episodes every Friday like a new person. Like,
Aw.
and I hope that some of our audience feels that way too. Cause I just like I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it because I love what we do so much. It hits all of my little love sensors in my whole soul, even though we're not touching, but it's the quality time, and it's amazing. So I appreciate you so much, badass.
I appreciate you as well. And if I could, can you feel me coming through, giving you that physical touch hug?
Yes. I can.
Uh, so maybe, I'm giving you the hug and I'm sending Jenna a gift. So
Yes. Yes, I love it.
well, thank you guys again so much, and have a badass Friday, and hope this fuels your Friday to then send you off into an amazing weekend. And then we will see you again next week. And don't forget to join us the following Fridays.
Yes, and happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yes, let this, inspiration around love languages fuel your Valentine's Day. And if you don't have a partner, pour that love into yourself, because we are first and foremost, each of us. So
I love that. Thank you.
yeah, thank you.